Hi and welcome back. In this lecture, I'm going to show you that how you can make use of the arrays and collections and how you can display collection of data using the render method. We're going to use the same example that we were working on before, which is to create a timer. The timer is already started running. The first thing what I want to do is I want to make sure that the timer looks a little bit decent. So let's go ahead and say counter label style equals to, and then over here I can define whatever I'm interested in to styling it. So background color, let's call it yellow. We can also go ahead and add the style so that we can actually see it's working correctly or not. And here we go, we got the yellow color working. Let's go ahead and give it some sort of a width, let's say 100, and height, which is, let's say, 50, and some sort of a font size, let's say 32. There we go. Our timer is working nicely and it is displaying the content inside of that. What I want to do is I want to have multiple timers. So you might be wondering, hey, that's not a big deal. I can simply have it something like this, counter label. And then obviously put them inside a div because in React, you must supply a root element or a parent element. And you're correct. In this way, we'll have multiple counters, starting of course with the same time. But sometimes we really are getting the data from some external source, so we can't really do that. What if we want to display 20 or 40 items? This approach is not going to work. In that case, we'll be looking into the counter labels label array. So let's create an array. And let's put these counters inside an array. So I can simply say counter label array dot push, and I can say counter label like this. This is of course only the first one. Let's go ahead and push the second one. So push and counter label. So you have added two components inside a counter label array. All that is remaining is to actually display those components, which is pretty easy. You're just going to use the binding expression and counter label array. Let's go ahead and save that. And it works. But you'll see that there is a problem. There's an error in the console. And the error is basically saying that now you are using two items, and both of the items don't really are, there's no way to find out if this one is different from this one. So you need to pass in some key. So let's go ahead and pass in the key counter 1. And this one we can say counter 2. Of course, if you are getting a large list of items, this technique is not going to work. So in that case, let's say that you want to add multiple items. I can run a for loop for I is equals to 1 and I is less than 10 and I plus plus. And I can start pushing these items into the counter label array. So counter label array dot push. And in this case, I can simply say counter label like this. Now this is going to add multiple items of counter label array. We don't need that one. There we go. I can remove that, and now you'll see that we have 10 different items being added. But of course, the key has to be unique. So how about we say key equals to, and we can say maybe I or counter plus I. All right. Let's say if we can bind this information and call it the value I. And there we go. So now we are applying a unique ID called I. I wonder what will happen if I do something like this. Counter plus I. So basically now the ID or the key of each element will be counter plus size. So it's going to be unique. And that is what you have to do to make sure that if you are adding multiple items, they have a unique key, because there has to be some way to differentiate between the first item, the middle item, last item, or the different items that are present in the array. So in this lecture, you learn how to display collections, a collection of components on the screen or on the web page. Hope you like this. Thank you very much.